Hello, everyone. It's that time again for Cruise Control, your on-air automotive magazine. Les, you've been driving a lot of cars this week.
Sure have.
Well, we got a bunch of
It's
them here that you've been driving.
Yep. I'll give a brief overview of each one. Obviously, not a review. We'd run out of time.
You had a chance to pilot this one. That
Oh yeah. Uh, Got a lot of people angry at me for taking it before they could get in it.
mm. And then you went the other way with this beautiful Genesis. So,
Yeah. Well, what can you say about Genesis?
yeah. So,
Uh,
what were you doing?
Spectacular.
That was the WAP
This is
rally,
the
right?
annual Washington Automotive Press rally. It's not really a rally. It's just a ride and drive in a nice location, and manufacturers bring their vehicles. You get 20 minutes or so in each one.
That's plenty. That's good.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Local uninhabited roads.
Okay.
Um,
Isn't there a seafood element to that too, as well?
um, well, there used to be, but this time there wasn't.
Oh.
There was a large presence of donuts. I'm sorry, I ate yours.
Oh, well, all right. Well, that's okay, but you did bring back all these reviews of the
I did.
vehicles, and we'll be interested to hear about that. We're also going to talk, I'm going to say the word less, about Cadillac's Bespoke ultra
Mm,
luxury
mm.
300K vehicle called the Celestiq. It uses a lot of technology, different ways of manufacturing, a lot of 3D printing, and you're supposed to be able to pick virtually every aspect of this vehicle and make it your own, hence the name Bespoke.
Okay. It's a
Um,
just a little over the top for me.
yeah, I'm not quite sure about the design, but I'll be nice and say it's sort of like a
It's
928 Porsche in the back, isn't it?
To me, it looks like a late 60s, early 70s Lamborghini Jarama.
Ah, yeah, I would agree. I would agree. And well, we'll kick it around. If this is a good
Yeah,
idea, is there a big market for that type of thing? And
I
then
don't
we'll
know.
ask, how much would you, Les Jackson, have?
This is Cruise Control, your on-air automotive magazine with co-hosts Fred Staab and Les Jackson. Everything you need to know about new and used cars. Industry news. We'll fix or repair your car on the air. Fasten your seatbelts and let us take the wheel. Now, your ride is about to begin because you're on Cruise Control. Cruise Control. Cruise Control.
Hello. Yes, your ride has begun, and so has ours. Welcome to Cruise Control, your on-air automotive magazine. We're here again. I'm Les Jackson. The other guy you're about to hear is Fred Staab. And boy, oh boy, have we seen a lot of cars this week.
Yeah, you
Uh,
drove a bunch of them, Les.
11 of them.
Yeah, we're going to talk about, you're going to have some micro reviews of all
Yes.
11 of those vehicles. And then we're going to start off with okay, here it comes because you love it so much, bespoke
Hmm.
vehicle from the folks over at Cadillac.
I was covering my ears.
Well, I tell you what, it is a 300K priced vehicle, a lot of technology. It uses 3D printing. You can make it your own. We're going to tell you a little bit about some of the technology that's going on in that vehicle, and it's pretty cool. Plus, you got
That
a
is
story
true.
about something that's a little less expensive, right?
Yes, to bring it down to the regular folks level, Toyota has freshened up the Corolla line. Corolla has been around since the 60s. And for 2023, you don't have to pay $300,000. 25 grand will get you everything you want in a Corolla. And, it's just a great car, and it'll last a 250,000 miles with minimum maintenance.
Yeah,
Great choice.
That's true. Yeah, that's true. We'll detail all those updates. And then I'm going to ask a question. How much would you have to be paid, Les, to switch to an electric vehicle? So we have the results of a recent study, but I like that number, please.
Well, I have to think about that. I'll come up with a number.
All right. Well, this study was done by one dealer, and they actually put a number on it, which is interesting. Then, we're going to talk tech. Batteries from Seaweed and scratch protection from BMW.
How about scratch protection from batteries? Oh, well, never mind.
From Seaweed.
That's right. Plus, as Fred mentioned, I had an opportunity to test a whole bunch of vehicles this week on one particularly pretty day, where manufacturers brought a bunch to us. I'll give you a list later on. I got in 11 of them and just tested them, wrung them out a little bit, had a good time. Every one was terrific in its own way.
Yeah, that's true. They do have character, and it's fun to drive a whole bunch back to back, and it looks like a beautiful day. So I tell you what, I look forward to seeing if you can do 11 at the wheel reviews. We might have to give you just a little extra time for that.
Well, they certainly won't be thorough reviews.
But they'll be good impressions,
taste.
Driving
little
impressions,
taste.
as we say, yeah. Hey, we appreciate you listening to Cruise Control. Don't forget to check us out at cruisecontrolradio.com or like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter, check out our YouTube page, all that and more. When we come back, we are going, Les Jackson, Bespoke. The 300K vehicle from the folks over at Cadillac, the Celestiq. Stay tuned to Cruise Control.
Cruise Control.
And welcome back to Cruise Control, your on-air automotive magazine. I'm Fred Staab. The other guy is none other than Les Jackson. I'm going to annoy him by using a word that he hates, and that is bespoke, meaning that it is your own, that you've made it your own, you've designed it, and customized it. It's a word that's used by Bentley and some of the
and
other
it's an
Rolls-Royce.
It's an old word. I will give you that. It has a history.
It has a history, and it apparently annoys Les Jackson.
Well,
very
it
much.
just, to me, it sounds elitist.
Okay, but in the case of this next vehicle we are talking about, which is the Cadillac Celestiq, it's I guess you could seem elitist driving it. I don't know, but it is Cadillac. Of course, let's just go back a little bit to the brand. They've always been the brand for GM that tries out the new technology, right, and the new ways of doing things, and then it kind of filters down to the rest of the lineup. Well, they're trying out a lot of new things here. Of course, they have the Ultium battery, which will be in a number of different vehicles like the Cadillac Lyriq, which we told you about. But this one is going to use even more new technology, including new ways of charging, where it will be capable to use a 200 kilowatt DC fast charging system, adding up to 78 miles of range and only 10 minutes of charging, if you can find one of those DC chargers.
There it is.
Yeah, it's all good until you can't find it. But they use a lot of new technologies in this vehicle too. Something called mega castings, which the underbody of the Celestiq includes 6 large precision sand cast aluminum components. Each casting reduces the part count by 30 to 40 components compared to typical stamped construction, and the benefits are more efficient use of space, simplicity, improved structural rigidity, and these are they're sand cast, and they're ideal for low volume handcrafted. There's that word again, bespoke vehicles.
Yeah. Well, sand casting, as you know, is a fairly tedious process. So it is slow. You can't, if you're going to make 100,000 cars, you can't do that.
Yeah, exactly. So, so there's that. Then there's additive manufacturing, which is 3D printing, basically. And that's used in 115 different 3D printed parts. And then there's something called flex fabrication, which will feature over 300 fabricated pieces throughout the body structure. Flex fabrication utilizes metal sheets that can be folded and manipulated into unique shapes required for the Celestiq. It sounds like sheet metal origami.
But it sounds like, a big press, a panel press.
A panel press. Not that is unique in the world of
Well, I'm sure that these are, looking at the pictures of this car, that these are very complex curves, not simple to make to keep them looking perfect.
What do you think of the looks of it? It's sort of a shooting brake, I would say. It is a 2+2. There's 4 bucket seats in there and 2 consoles, and it's got a hatch in the back. But I'm not sure about some of the exterior styling, I have to say. And not that I always like it when a manufacturer takes a new turn on things. The front end of the vehicle is fine.
It's got the Cadillac personality.
But I'm just not big on the back, where it looks like they took the tail lights and turned one way and one the other.
The back does not appeal to me, which, okay, so what? I'm just one person. But if I had 300,000 that I wanted to spend on an electric vehicle or, something exotic, that would turn me away.
Yeah.
I know I wouldn't get used to looking at it when I go out to drive every day.
My take on this is they're making a Lucid Air. They're making it's very much Lucid-like. The high-end electric vehicle manufacturer. I love the technology, though, like the fixed smart glass roof, suspended particle device technology, multi-ambient lighting, and lighting choreography create a unique interplay between the exterior and the interior of the vehicle. Cadillac Bespoke, we'll be talking about it. Cadillac Celestiq, a bespoke vehicle we'll be talking about.
I like the name.
We'll be right back. Stay tuned. So Les, tell me more about this event. What was your favorite vehicle you drove?
Well, to be honest, my favorite was the Hyundai Palisade.
Oh, wow, okay.
And
Palisade.
The reason is that it's just, this is why it's so popular. It's big. It's very, very well thought out. Stem to stern, and very quiet, very comfortable. You could drive cross country in this and never feel it. Not that I need something that big, but if I did, I'd run right to the dealership. It's just so well done.
And it's got a big grill.
Well, what doesn't?
Got to make that statement. I guess. What I'm interested, what did you think of the GV60? I had that vehicle not that long ago and did the at the wheel, and I was pretty impressed with it. Beautiful interior.
I was too. It's hard not to be impressed with that brand.
Yeah.
Um, it um, it it um, it felt like you've like a shoe that you've found that fits your feet real well.
Sort of looks like a shoe too.
It looks a little like a shoe, um, but really nice. Just an exceptionally smooth, nice, very refined vehicle.
I always thought too, you look at the inside of that vehicle, it looks like a show car with the orb that turns
Right, right.
and the glove box that's a drawer and the interior lighting, and so cool stuff. Cool stuff.
Yeah.
Well, hey, we're going to be back. Les is a little bit going to give us more of a review of all these vehicles, but we're coming back.
Cruise control.
Welcome back to Cruise Control. This is your on-air automotive magazine. We're going to come downscale in the price range.
Just a little bit. Just
here,
a little bit.
A lot.
Yeah.
But we're talking about the 2023 Toyota Corolla. Now, the Corolla is just it's a
Buy
household
12
word.
Corollas for the price of a.
Yes. And they're great cars. A lot of young people or parents of young people lease them for their college-age people. They're just a great car, super reliable. The new one has an 8-inch touchscreen with Toyota's audio multimedia. This is all standard. Front and rear styling has been, as they say, sharpened.
Updated.
Updated. It's,
Yeah.
It's actually the grille, which is typically large for me in a lot of new vehicles, fits the styling pretty well.
Mm-hmm.
New colors. The interior is getting really rather sophisticated for such an inexpensive car.
I think the Toyota Corolla interior is one of the best when it comes to inexpensive cars.
Yeah. It's they just do it right. It's a tiny bit bigger every year, by the way.
Aren't we all?
Aren't we all? But every year, the low end models of the vehicle companies all get a little bit bigger.
Mm-hmm.
They have, I don't know, for 30 years.
Yeah.
Mainly because people want more stuff in them.
Well,
So
they do, and in this case, it's upgraded safety tech, something they call TSS 3.0,
yeah,
and it's a ton of great systems, including pre-collision system with pedestrian detection, lane departure alert, dynamic radar cruise control, lane tracing assist, road sign assist, automatic high beams. And new features are proactive driving assist, obstacle anticipation assist, deceleration assist, in addition to blind spot monitoring. So
a lot of stuff.
there's a lot of stuff there, and you can get one of these things well equipped with like Android Auto and Apple CarPlay, so you don't need to buy a nav system. I don't even know if they offer it in that, but you don't need it because you can do that with your phone, and you have that 8-inch screen, which is standard across all models now. It's a great vehicle, a lot of fun. They also make a hybrid version of it, which is crazy. So, I mean,
Yeah, but it's of course the Prius system, so it's going to be
you must be
perfect.
50 miles to the gallon with that, because the standard one
Yeah,
gets 40. I think it's a great vehicle. It's available in sedan. It's available in hatchback. I happen to like the hatchback. I've had a couple of them to review on the show. That's kind of the one I would buy. What a great little commuter car to
yep.
go to work in.
Yeah, I'd go with a hatchback too. They're just so practical. They look good.
Yeah.
Um, Engine is 169 horsepower, 2 liters, 13 to 1 compression.
Man.
That's some technology.
Yeah, yeah, that is, and that thing will run forever. So
It will.
there's a lot of technology. There's a lot of safety. There's not a lot on price. I don't have pricing on the new ones, but they're about
in that
25.
yeah, about 25. And in that interior shot you have, that sure looks like a manual shifter.
They do offer it with a manual. I've driven it with a manual, and they do have it with. Is it a CV? I think it's a CVT. It's a little bit faster
CVT.
with the CVT. I'd probably get the CVT just for
I
every day.
I'm not going to own another manual.
Okay. And it's a less expensive car, but they do things like they have like a crankcase, rigid crankcase with integrated stiffener to cut the noise level down. It's got an EPA estimated 32 city, 41 highway, 35 combined MPG.
Just remarkable.
It is great. Start-stop capability. Continuously variable capacity oil pump and variable capacity cooling system with electric water pump to maintain efficiency. So this is not just like, hey, it's a bottom-end car. This is a well-engineered car with a lot of thought put into it. You can get over-the-air updates. Just amazing value for this thing. If you're looking for a basic A to B car, that's also pretty fun to drive, I have to say.
Actually, they are.
Yeah, I liked it. I always like it when they say, "Oh yeah, you're going to have a Corolla hatchback." I'm always like, "Great, add it in. Great interior. It really hits above its price point, and good job by Toyota. You can't go wrong with a Toyota Corolla, really. I mean, it'll last you a long time, and you won't break the bank. And I wonder if dealers are doing markups on those. I hope not.
I think all of that is going away. It's it's a victim. Inflation has caused everybody to trim back and not buy so much, with sales going on everywhere. And I think the same demands are happening in the auto industry. So
yeah,
I think that their day in the sun is getting cloudy.
Well, yeah, that their day of let me help myself to your wallet, because I want to, is going away. Yeah, that's short-lived. That's very short-sighted policy to say, let me drain everything out of this person before they leave the dealership. So. And you know what, folks, just shop around. I mean, you can just go online and see like 5 dealers in one shot, and certainly one of them is selling it for MSRP, maybe even less than MSRP, right?
That's right. Plus, these buying services like Costco are getting these markups taken away and actually getting a slight discount.
Yeah. But, put a cap on the Toyota Corolla. That is one great vehicle and one fun, safe vehicle to drive. Gets good safety ratings. It's a good deal. And, of course, you can also get the Corolla Cross with their little crossover, which I'm sure will get these updates as well. Looks like they've done some updates to the interior as far as getting rid of some of those tiny buttons that were a little bit problematic, but still hard to find a problem with the Toyota Corolla.
Yep.
Coming up, Les, we've got a question for you and our audience. How much would you want to be paid to switch to an electric vehicle? Of course, there are a number of federal plans and even state and local plans, but one dealer has done a study, and they've come up with a number that most people would want to be paid to switch to an electric vehicle. Interesting, and kind of looked into too why people buy electric vehicles, and not all of it has to do with the climate or wanting to be clean. I think a lot of people will look at it as it's a fun car to drive. Very
Well, exactly.
good performance. So We'll kick that around. Also, we're going to do some talking tech. Batteries from seaweed, that would be a game changer, so you would not have to worry about things like cobalt and lithium. You would just have to get the seaweed and peel it off your legs when you go to the beach.
Just drop your charging wire in the ocean.
Yeah. Oh, salt water, right?
So, hey, it's electrical.
It's electrical. And scratch detection from BMW. We'll talk about that. What the heck is that? And then, of course, we are going to look at the fleet of cars Les Jackson drove this week. A man on a mission to drive
Somebody's got to do it
as possible. So we'll talk about that and more when we come back on Cruise Control, your on-air automotive magazine. I'm Fred Staab. He is Les Jackson. We will be right back.
Cruise Control.
And welcome back to Cruise Control. It's the show you're dialed into. We are Fred Staab and Les Jackson, and we are your at-the-wheel, well, no, we're your on-air automotive magazine. We do at the wheels. I guess it's just so many at the wheels coming up from Les Jackson. I have it on my head. I mean,
yes.
He drove a lot of vehicles this week, but we wanted to know, what would it take you, what kind of cash? Everyone's got a number, Les. That's what they say. Everyone's got a number.
Absolutely.
What would it take you to switch to an electric vehicle? Okay, so I'll ask you before we get into this. What would it take, what money, incentive, whatever you call it, would get you to switch from a gas to electric?
This is total incentives?
Yeah, like what would it cost if you said, I'm going to get rid of the Mazda? Well, if you give me an electric car.
I'll do that, give me a pizza. It would have to be all incentives. It would have to be over 10,000.
Oh, okay.
And the reason is because, I would be using this for not necessarily long trips, but trips. And the added searching for a charging plus, I'm limited in my townhouse with the electric panel. So that's a bit of an inconvenience. So, it's got to be worth something.
Well, yeah, let's face it. I mean, people say, oh, well, we'll put in a charger. But I've talked to neighbors here, and we have 100 amp service, so you have to upgrade to a 200 amp service.
Yep.
Because already that 100 amp is kind of maxed out with, in my case, an electric dryer, electric cooktop, those two big items. So that's a big cost to update to 200 amps.
It is.
And then, of course, you have the price of the charger and the associated, in my case, the panels in the garage. The wiring wouldn't be a big thing. It would be upgrading the panel would be the big thing. It'd be very easy to run a cable from the panel, but you'd have to update the service, and that can be pretty pricey. I think one of my neighbors said it cost him $2,000 to $3,000 to get the whole update and the charger.
Oh, easily.
Yeah. The hookup here would be very easy to the panel. It's the service, though. You could literally put the charger right next to the panel on the wall and just run a cable, but it's the going up to the 200 amp service. So anyway, let's get into this study. It was done by Gunther VW, interestingly done by a dealer in Delray Beach in Florida. And, let's face it, in Florida, it might be a different thing because you don't have to worry about cold battery conditions, right?
That's right. And not climbing a lot of hills.
Not climbing a lot of hills, yeah.
Yeah.
So a recent study by this dealer revealed that U.S. citizens would accept no less than $6,000, actually $5,998, to hit the number exactly, in cash if an electric car policy was enforced. In other words, if they said, that's it, you must buy an electric car, they're saying I need at least $6,000. That's an average of all 50 states, including Alaska and Hawaii. Wyoming said people in Wyoming said they would be happy with $3,131 in compensation to go electric. And on the opposite end of the spectrum, New Hampshire, people want $12,698. So
do I.
So around 49% of the people surveyed want cash up front and not as a tax credit per the current system. They want it right up front, and they don't want the $7,500 tax credit or incentive. So that is interesting, and
it is.
The average cost, by the way, people are buying cars for these days is $46,000.
Which is a lot.
Yeah, that's a lot. I think back to that Corolla we just talked about for $25,000. That's a better number, isn't it?
I'll tell you what bothers me is we've been doing this radio show so long that I remember when the average transaction price was well below $20,000.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I seem to recall something like $17,000.
Yeah, well, for a nice car.
For a nice car, yeah, not something that you know had hard plastic seats and.
I'm going to cry now.
This is interesting, too. So why do people buy electric cars, right? 43% of people would move to an EV to help clean the planet, even though there are no really, I mean, there's still manufacturing involved, and there's a number of problems with the manufacturing process, and you still have to generate the electricity some way. The study said most people tend to forget the mining, processing, shipping, etc.
Of course.
In second place, 27% would do it for the current cash incentives of $7,500 or more, and 7% said they would do it so they can ride in the carpool lane. Okay.
Well, those are angry commuters.
Yeah. And only 5% were interested in EV performance. And you know what? That tells me they haven't driven an electric car.
Well, but also, what's the percentage of regular gas engine buyers who are interested primarily in performance? I bet it's not much more than 5%.
No, I think it's only 5% were interested in performance, all told.
Yeah. Now,
they haven't driven one. How many people say to you, "Oh, electric cars, but they're slow"?
Virtually everybody. It says, "Well, you know, what about that electric car? I mean, isn't it too underpowered?" And I just say, "Well,
no, you haven't driven one.
If you want to ride, I'll show you how underpowered it is."
Yeah, it's.
I like that 43% are concerned about the planet because, as I have said many times, we really have to protect the planet. It's the only one we know of that has chocolate and coffee.
Except for that other planet that they said we could move to that's 10 million light years away.
Right.
What would a moving bill for that be? That would be huge.
Well, you wouldn't survive the trip, so it...
No, you wouldn't need a house when you got there, yeah.
No.
Hey, let's talk a little tech here. Of course, we were just talking about electric vehicles, and one of the problems, they're not completely clean because you have to mine for cobalt and some of the other things for the batteries. But what if you could make the battery from seaweed? And, well, what if you could? Well, apparently there is a group studying this. The team's findings were published in Advanced Materials. I know you read that every month, don't you, Les?
Yes, right behind my issue of Outlaw Biker.
Okay. Well, I don't know what to say to that. That's just
but now remember, it's the material between the chemicals in the battery that seaweed could be the solution for it. It's the material, the separator, as they call it,
Okay.
tends to deteriorate. And when it does, then the battery internally shorts out, which is
Then
you don't want.
Then you get one of those fires that can't be put out,
Yes,
right? Yeah.
exactly. So this looks like a real possibility.
This is coming
and
from Bristol Composites Institute, which is interesting.
Yeah.
And as you said, the aim of the separator, which in this case would be seaweed, is to separate the functioning parts of the battery and allow free transport of a charge. The seaweed-based separator is still a long way off, but it is something that they're looking at. Now, how would this last? Seaweed's not going to last for 10 years, is it?
Well, I think I'm just guessing, but I think the seaweed itself would be ground up into a powder and then put in some kind of matrix, which would, now it's not seaweed anymore.
So lithium is used to separate the plates in a battery. Okay, and this would replace lithium, which would be a good thing because the supply of lithium sometimes comes from, nefarious sources. We'll just put it
lithium is something that if you could get away with not having to mine it, it would be very good.
I'll be honest, I'm still a fan of Toyota's solid state battery, which would do away with all of the needs for this. But we will talk about
eventually.
this BMW scratch detection system real quickly when we come back, because Les has to get to his fleet review of a ton of different vehicles, and we don't want to miss out on any of those. So stay tuned to Cruise Control, your on-air automotive magazine. I'm Fred Staab, he's Les Jackson. We'll be right back.
Cruise Control.
Welcome back. A lot to get to. Fred Staab and Les Jackson here. First, we were going to talk about BMW filing a patent for car scratch detection system. It comes from the folks over at Car Buzz. They found this out. Actually, the Drive discovered the patent filed with China's National Intellectual Property Administration. It consists of a camera that can record the person scratching your car and a storage device that can store the footage and all the necessary details. Will anyone prosecute someone that scratches your car and there's a picture? Remember, we had that Aston Martin where the guy walks past it. He had a kid with him, and he looks at the car, and you think, oh, he's just looking at the car. Then he walks back, and he looks, it looks like he's going to take a picture, like, hey, cool car or whatever. And then you see him and hear him scratching the car, right? The security camera caught it. Would anyone prosecute him? It is damage.
I think it would be very difficult to prosecute. You just have to file a civil suit against the person.
Damaging your, and well, this system works by BMW basically applying a scratch-sensitive skin to the car, and a constant electric current constantly runs through the skin, and the computer can detect when there's a change in the current, and then there's the alert system, and that's when the cameras kick in. Pretty interesting, right?
That is interesting. I like the idea.
Yeah. All right. Well, I like the idea of you telling us some of the vehicles you drove this week. You were at the WAPA rally, which is WAPA stands for Washington Area Automotive Press Association.
Automotive Press Association. We've done this every year for 30 years. It used to be a real rally, but now it's just a collection of manufacturers bring some of their cool stuff, and everybody gets a chance to drive it. We try to limit the drives to 20 minutes.
Okay.
And it's all day.
All right.
Starting early.
Okay.
Going to 5 o'clock. With different venues, but this particular one was out on the shores of Chesapeake Bay.
All right.
Okay. So oddly enough, I started off trying to get into the Chevy Bolt.
Okay.
And I never got into it.
All right.
Uh,
Great vehicle.
there were people waiting to get into it.
Good.
And you've got some photographs that I took of most of the vehicles I drove.
What was
Uh,
this one?
that was the new, not yet unreleased Mazda CX-50.
CX-50. Okay, so bigger than CX-30.
Big SUV, very nice, very nice. A little bit of road noise, I will say that. Now this was a production prototype, so things change,
Right.
before you put them out on the street. But nicely equipped, nicely laid out. I think it'll be a big seller.
Oh, good. How much bigger is it than the CX-30? Can you tell?
It's 3 rows.
Oh, it's okay. So is it going to replace the CX-9, which is their 3-row vehicle?
They didn't say.
Okay. You might as-
I kind of figure maybe they'll phase out the 9.
Okay. How about this Alpha?
Okay, well, I'm half Italian, so
Okay.
I have to like Alpha.
All right.
No, I mean it's a heck of a nice car. It's actually the Stelvio Estrema.
Okay.
I don't, that's just the name. It's kind of midway between the Quattrofolio and the low end Stelvio. There's nothing low end about the prices. It drives great. It's a typical Italian car. It feels like it's an extension of your hands and feet.
Mm-hmm.
Nice engine noise.
Okay.
Plenty of engine.
All right.
Up to 550 horsepower.
And it's got the phone dial wheels. I love that.
Right.
The big circles in the wheels. They're fun. Yeah. All right. Up next, the Genesis GV60. I said this is sort of like a show car that they put into production.
Yep.
All electric and beautiful interior. I think.
You drive it, you fall in love with it.
Mm-hmm.
It's that simple. It's just such a well-made car in every way. If I wanted to get an electric car tomorrow and could afford it, that's what I'd get.
Okay. And it has the rotating orb shifter.
The orb I could do without, but it's nice.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Let's go on to a big SUV, the Palisade, right?
Hyundai Palisade. I said a little earlier, it was my favorite vehicle I drove that day, just because you can't buy one. The demand for them is so great. They're never around to buy.
This is like their Telluride. This is like
right.
Kia has the Telluride, which is so popular. People are lining up, putting money down. This is the Palisade. This is the Hyundai version of it.
Yeah, and you just it's so comfortable. It's so quiet. It's so smooth that you could pack the whole family and half of the neighbor's family in it and drive to California and still be in a good mood when you got there. It's just a super practical, great piece of machinery.
All right. Now, up next, I have one of my favorites, the Genesis. I love big cars from Genesis.
Yep. Well,
and this is
again,
this is the 90?
This is the 90, the G90.
Top of the range.
Top of the range. Boy, just a
talk about a car you could get in and just drive to St. Louis.
Absolutely. And it's essentially a Bentley for a third the price, and a 10-year warranty on the drivetrain.
On top of it, throw that in.
Yeah, so a spectacular car. Genesis is number one for a reason.
Yeah. And then there was this car. I don't know if you want to talk about it or not.
Well, they talked me into driving it. This is the real thing, the Z06 70th anniversary.
Wow.
With the $6,000 wheels.
Wow. You don't want to get curb rash on those.
Oh, no. It is just a spectacular car on very narrow roads, not particularly smooth roads, super smooth. You have 4 different driving modes, and I kept it in comfort because I just wanted to see, well, what's it like? Uh, Unbelievably smooth and comfortable to drive as long as you're just gently accelerating. Once you decide you want to give it free rein, um, it becomes a pavement ripping monster, and you'd better make sure there's a lot of room in front of you because it's going to get there really fast. Great car, just
I drove the Stingray convertible, and on the entrance ramp, accelerating from the highway, I went to 0 to 100 in about 50 feet. I swear.
No problem.
Without
no
trying.
Problem.
Not even trying to do that. It just you have to really
easy.
watch what you're doing because you'll end up going pretty fast. The only downside of the convertible. And I think this is one of the best looking convertibles they've ever done. You can't see the engine. The engine is under a big piece of plastic, which I don't know. I kind of like the engine on display in the back.
I don't know. I didn't mind that. I don't need to see the engine. Most people these days don't know how engines work anyway. So that's fine.
See it. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm still a Corvette coupe guy. I would probably. It's less expensive. You can still take
like
the
coupes.
roof off and have all the fun. But there you go. The collection from Les Jackson of multiple at the wheel reviews here on Cruise Control. Hey, it's time for me to say I'm Fred Staab.
I'm Les Jackson.
We're going to see you down the road.
Bye.